This is me. Yeah. Get to know who I am from me. 'Cause this is me. Yeah. This is me. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, this is real me. Oh, this is me. Yeah.
Excellency Chief Dr. Jewel Howard Taylor. Hello, this is Her Excellency Chief Dr. Jewel Howard Taylor, the first female Vice President of Liberia, and this is me.
This is me. This is me. Yeah. This is me.
Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. You're watching yet another episode of This Is Me. And this time around, we don't have a stranger that we're sitting with. However, it's a household name. We're here with Her Excellency, the VP herself, Madam Jewel Howard Taylor. We're about to find out who she is. Enjoy. Madam Excellency, how you doing today?
Oh, just call me Jewel now.
Okay. Madam Jewel, how you doing?
I'm fine. I give God the glory.
Good, good. So we'll start by, getting to know you. So if you don't mind introducing yourself.
And there's a title attached to the job that I do. So that title is Her Excellency Chief Dr. Jewel Howard Taylor. But the title I like, when I visit the villages and hang out with the old man there, we, doing traditional things.
Right.
Just Jewel, because I think that name is a special name. When my mother gave me that name as a young girl, as a child, no one had it. And she said I would be the jewel around her neck. She didn't even know that it would become a name.
Oh, wow.
So I like that name because I know the essence would be my mother called me. So for me, I like the jewel name because it signifies much more than just being a political figure. I'm from Lofa. My father comes from Lofa. My mother comes from Bong. And so we come from that central region. Most of the people from the central region speak Pele. So my mother comes from a small town in Bong County called Sanoye. That's where our home is. But on my father's side, we come from a small town called Yela.
Yela.
So we are Lofa and Bong County people. And I grew up like any other person here. So really, there's nothing special about me. I think what is special is the opportunities God has brought my way.
Okay.
I think that is what removes you from the rest of the crowd.
Right.
And not because I'm special, but because maybe there's a task that God still wants me to do. And that's why you see me on the different stages. And I know they're all temporary. So I like to keep myself to the jewel level.
Okay, great intro. But walk me back to the young Jewel, growing up with your mom back in the days. Where and what were some of the things that you guys did?
Funny thing, life has a way of keeping you where you were. And I really grew up in this Congotown area.
Okay.
In fact, where the Total gas station is down the street here, we lived in a house in a very same community next door to where the Total is.
Wow.
We came from Lofa and moved to Bong. I don't remember the Bong years because I was pretty young.
Right.
But by the time we got to Monrovia and I went to kindergarten at 5 years old, this is where I knew. We went to the St. Peter's Lutheran School that is there on 14th Street and Tottenham Boulevard. My parents were Lutheran. I went to CWA, high school, and then I went to the University of Liberia. But in the community we lived, there were many families.
Right.
And what I liked about those days is that everyone was concerned about everybody else's child. So we're community children.
All right. Everybody
So
raised by the village.
Yes. The mothers would get together on the weekends and talk. If you did something somewhere, they will report you to your mother. But they will punish you first because they won't say, I'm going to tell your mom. I will punish you first, then I will tell your mom. Then
Double
they will punish you
punishment.
again.
Double
Yeah.
punishment.
Double punishment.
Wow.
But I think it's made us the characters we have evolved to be. And we lived in a pretty safe environment. There were instances of sexual harassment and rape of young people and murder. Those things were far from our childhood.
Right.
When someone died, you were like 70 or 89 years old.
Right.
So young children didn't die except maybe by accident, car accident or something like that.
Right.
So whenever you heard that somebody died, it would be some old person.
Right.
So we grew up in an environment that was really calm. You would come from school and go to the neighbor's house to play or to do your homework.
Right.
And it was accepted because the families were interlinked in many,
right.
many, many ways.
Right.
So
Right.
I'm sorry for the young people growing up today because their society is just a little too much.
Right.
And then all of the negative things keep happening. But,
Right.
you know, I could take a taxi in maybe 5th grade and come from here to Lutheran school,
Right.
where several of us went to the same school together, like my other siblings.
Right.
So we all get in a taxi. My father wasn't worried that something will happen to you or, you know, nothing
Right.
wrong. So you go and come back. In fact, there were some taxi drivers that they will second, say, pick up my children and carry them to school and bring them back.
That time they trust people.
Nobody worried.
Yeah, people
there was
trust
a
it.
trust figure involved, but not today. But
So
it's
speaking
sad.
of siblings, how many of you guys are there?
I have 6 sisters and 1 brother.
Uh-huh.
And by my father and my mother were married. So by that first nuclear family, we're 7. Unfortunately, 2 of my siblings have passed.
Sorry to hear that.
My only sister died at JFK because they didn't have oxygen and she had asthma.
That's sad.
And my brother died from cancer about 2 years ago.
Sorry to
So
hear
there
that.
are still about, 6 of us left? 5 of us left.
I see.
The youngest one lives in Florida.
Okay.
She got married to a U.S. citizen there many, many, many years ago.
see.
She has 4 of her own children. And she comes home from time to time. She's the baby of the house. My elder sister is a sociologist.
Uh-huh.
She taught at the University of Liberia for many years
Uh-huh.
and then worked at the judiciary. She's now retired. The one after her worked at the United Nations. Long service. She's now retired after long years of...
So smart people in your family.
Which is true. None of us has less than a master's degree.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure prior to getting all these degrees, growing up, how was it like in a home? Who were high? Who used to cause trouble? And who had things from the family in the home?
But you know, the thing was, I'm number 5.
Okay.
So when we were growing up and there was an issue, they were, number 1 and number 2 would be allowed to talk. Those days, they would say small children can be seen, they can't be heard.
Yes.
So nobody bothered with me, sir.
Oh, wow.
And so I was very quiet. If my mother were to see me today with the political fire that I have, she would never believe that I had turned into the kind of political animal I was. Because nobody asking you, so nobody really knew
What
that
you
I was
have in
talkative.
mind, yeah.
So I was just quiet. Do my little things, sit down when they having issues. Number 1 and number 2, y'all can explain what happened here.
Right.
And then I had two siblings behind me. So I was like caught up in the middle somehow. So, you know, when something happening from the top, by the time they deal with the 40 people, I spare.
Oh, okay.
When something happening from the bottom, by the time they get to me, I spare now. So I was a middle child
Just in the
way.
middle.
Yeah, and I think I got away with a lot of things. So now nobody would think about me, say, if some of my teachers were alive today, all the way through high school, they said, oh, she was a quiet person. You know, I'll go study, do my thing, come back. Even at the university, I went to the university and my father said to me, what are you going to do? What are you studying? And I said, oh, Daddy, I don't know. You know, when we go there, we'll see. He said, what do you mean by when you go there, you will see?
Right.
This is 1981 now.
Right.
Who has taken place, the whole country in a turmoil. So he was concerned. I said, Daddy, I haven't been to the university before, so when I go, I will see, you know,
will
how the
ask
thing
question.
looking.
Yeah.
We're going for orientation. They will tell us how the thing will be. So he said to me, the only thing I want to tell you, one thing.
Right.
I said, oh, why the papa is so serious this morning? Yeah, he was very serious. He said, that one thing I want to tell you. So I said, what the one thing, Daddy? He said, that university you're going to, no political science for you.
Oh,
So I said, Daddy, me walking talk?
is he alive now?
No, he got killed in the war in Bangla.
I'm sorry to hear
Yes.
I wish
one
he
of
was
the
around
doctors
to see.
I know, and he would not believe it.
that. Right.
Because he warned me. He said, political science? No political science for you. I said, Daddy, what you call political science? I can't even talk.
Right.
How we go do political science? By that time, Amos Sawyer there, you know, for 1980, they started, 79, they started coming home. That's when the multi-party conversation was serious.
Right.
Everybody wanted more.
Right.
There was noise on the radio. Ellen Salif arrested. President Tubman killed. The whole country was upside down.
Wow.
You know?
So you stay in Liberia the whole time?
I did.
the
I didn't leave
arrest?
from here till I graduated from the university.
Wow.
So I went to the university, listened to my father's advice. I did economics and management. I didn't join any of the political parties. I didn't even join Christian Association at LU. He said, these are tough times. Just go to school and come home and bake you.
Right.
So that's all I did.
Talk to us about your relationship, your family structure, how many children you have. Who the handsome guy in your life?
Well, you know, as a young girl, everybody got boyfriends now.
Ah.
But I didn't marry any of them.
You didn't marry none of your boyfriend? Eh?
No. When I went to the university, I think I was 20 years old. I went to the university at 17.
Right.
So by the time I'm 20 years old, I'm a junior at the university. And I meet Charles Taylor. They had all come home in 1980. You remember President Talbot had asked them to come because they were making noise with EULA in America.
Right.
The president didn't want to do more. The president got to do more. So he said, y'all come, let's discuss.
Right.
It was in that coming home and the discussion that the president got killed. So somehow, some way, I had a part-time job at the printing press. The government had its own printing press. And the printing press was where the old general ministry was on UN Drive there. So that's where I worked. So when I came from school, I went and spent a couple of days. I was there every day.
Okay.
And that was my part-time job. And the guy who was in charge of the printing press was a friend of Charles Taylor.
Okay.
So he came to visit one day. By this time, Samuel Kayento is president. He's
Right.
in the cabinet.
Right.
And he comes to visit, and he sees this beautiful woman. He starts running behind me. One thing led to the other.
I won't know, but one thing led to the other.
Well,
What-
we started dating,
Okay.
and I got pregnant. My son, my first child, is now 38 years old.
38.
So you can imagine it's a long
Long.
relationship. And we have a second child, a daughter that we adopted at 2 years old. So the both of us have 2 children. But we didn't get married then. If you know the story,
Right.
he was chased out of Liberia,
Right.
ended up in the States, left from there, went to Libya for training.
Right.
I went to America, went back to school, went into banking. That's what I wanted to be, a banker,
You want to be a banker?
a central banker. That was my goal and my desire.
Did you ever end up working
In
for some
America,
time?
I started.
as a
I
banker?
worked maybe about 8 years in America in one of the banks. I came home, started working at Central Bank at the time. It was National Bank at the time.
I see.
And then I got married to Charles Taylor. And then the story continues. I became First Lady. So my nucleus family is myself, my 2 children. My son Charles has 3 beautiful children. The first is 16. She's named after me.
Okay.
Her name is Jewel. She's graduating high school this June. The second one is named after his father, Charles Ganget Taylor IV.
Okay.
So when you ask him, he'll say, well, where your name? My name Charles Ganget Taylor IV. I'm like, does he even know the issues he will deal with in his life?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then the last baby, last grandbaby, is called Apollonia Taylor. She's also at the Hiller School, but she's 10. So this is my nucleus family. But of course, being married to President Taylor with all of the children he had,
Right.
I've become mother of mothers.
all of them,
So
right.
I have a very large external family. A lot of the young children live with me. I've supported them, sending them to college. Almost all of them have a college degree except 2. Others have gone for their masters. So we're a big family.
So how did you get to know my high friend Ben? How did he
And
end
let
up?
me tell you the story.
Right.
Charles Taylor had a national conference.
Right.
I think it was 1990, 96, 7, because we got married in 1997. I think it was 1999 when he said the nation should come together to come up with this way forward, what the country want to see,
Right.
so that he would pattern his legacy according to what the country wanted.
Right.
And so the first 2 days of the conference, we met with the young people. And we went to Conference Center, Unity Conference Center. And I was seated, President Taylor, the Vice President, I think Enoch Dogonie, maybe 7 or 8 people, you know. And then the chair of the conference, I think, was Roland Massaquin. So the young people, you know, we had the opening sessions, prayer, everything.
Right.
And then they said, well, President Taylor, we are, all of us can speak. So we've chosen one person to speak on our behalf. And he said, okay, I don't have a problem. Whatever this person said, I want you to say it. I said, yeah, I always say it. I said, Sandy, I think about 17 at the time, walked up to that podium and gave it to us real good. I was like, who is this young man?
Right.
I mean, he spoke truth to power without fear. 17 without fear. He said, Mr. President Taylor, can I speak to you openly? The president said, yeah. You know why he wants it now. So he said, yeah, speak to me openly. We're talking about Liberia, and the fact is that the young people have to be a part of what I want to do.
I see.
Benjamin, I think he spoke for about 45 minutes. I was
Right.
shocked that this young man had such fire.
17 years
And
old.
so then the president said, you know him? I said, no, I know him, but I will know him tomorrow, don't worry. So the next day I sent to his school. He wasn't afraid. He said, well, the first day he said she wants to see. He said, yeah, she the one I want to see.
Oh, wow.
So he came to my house and we became friends. He's like a son to me.
That's
You
right.
know, when I add my family members, I can't leave him out of it. He's been a blessing to me in many ways. But he became the first, you know, after we digested his speech
Right.
and looked at the issue he was raising, we said, but this is the real thing.
Right.
So I said to the president, so why don't you appoint him as the youth advisor?
I see.
At that point, there was nothing such as no position called the youth advisor. I said, but he will bring the issues of the young people. It seems that he has a voice.
Right.
So, you know, they created that position. He became the youth advisor to President Taylor. They used to call him youth. That was his quote on the radio. Don't tell you to come here. So we became very close.
Right.
I mean, from the time he was a young person, when he spoke that day, all he spoke about was, when will Liberia become a nation that we can live in, be proud of, be able to live the way we want, and bring up our children the way we grew up. That's the Liberia they want.
Okay.
So I think he still has that dream of seeing Liberia come to pass. And I always tell him, I said, there's no way you can be outside and help birth this Liberia all of us want to see.
Right.
Everyone has to come and put in their own,
some
2
point.
cents, and we work together.
At some point.
So at some point, I'm still trying to coerce him to come home.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about Joelle as a mother and a household. What's your go-to punishment? What are you the type that can beat them ahead of time before they
My
misbehave?
father used to do that.
If beat you ahead of time because you know you'll misbehave. Okay, so tell me a little bit about that.
And you know, I had my first child when I was just 20 years old.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I left him at 3 years old with my sister Sandra and went to the States.
Okay.
So by the time I got him back in America, he was about 8.
Okay.
And so it took a while of us, you know, trying to build a relationship. So I would talk. You know, in America, they're talking.
Right.
You don't really.
Me and Flogo.
Yeah, important.
Yeah.
Very important.
Sometimes
Because the Bible says,
spare the rod.
So I
Yeah.
think it was
Just soak
important.
it on the tuma.
When nobody would see it, or
Yeah.
they used to be around. Nobody would see
Exactly.
it.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So
go ahead.
and then I left him in America and came back to be first lady.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of the children, you know, all Chancellor children, what we use as a means of punishment, people got whipped. Chancellor went to one school one time and beat one of the children who were misbehaving at school.
Uh-huh.
People used to pepper people. Oh, you
Wow.
do wrong thing, they pepper you. I mean, that one when he used to do, I used to be.
And I
Charles,
experienced that
lead
one
the children,
before.
man, lead the children.
So
that one-
he said used to do the
no,
peppering?
the people used to call the nurses.
Okay, to
Yeah, but you
pepper
will stand out there with a switch.
Okay.
All the ear, all in the eye, pepper there everywhere. Then he said, sit down in the sun. And you
Wow.
sit down in your chair with a rat and say, if you move from there, I will beat you. But that was, I thought was the worst punishment. But I'm being somebody now to something
Real bad.
real bad.
Right.
But other than that, it was just like the carrot and the stick, you know, just to encourage people to study and be the best of what they could be. Now, Jua, the grandmother,
You're
I
just spoiling the
beaten
children
them.
now?
No.
Okay.
The other day, my grandson did something bad. So I called the security people. Of course, when they see him passing the yard, they can be calling him chief. So I said, you will not spoil my grandson for me. You're not chief. He's just Charlie. Cha.
Right.
He reached to that level. You start calling him chief before he get.
He start getting big, yeah.
So I called. I said, please send me to security. They didn't know what I want, so they can't. I said, somebody hold Charlie foot, somebody hold here, and let the other person get being. Oh, man, we can't beat the man actually. I said, when I'm being, I will fire you.
Oh, wow.
So I've whipped him 100 lashes before. That means he now do something where you can't even understand.
Right.
He likes computers. And so he will not study, he will not clean his room, he will not take bath, he just on that computer playing games. And I told him, I said, well, even though there's something you like, you have to now learn how to manage your time.
Right.
Because if you're not doing your homework, then that means the game is consuming you and nothing should consume you
Right.
like you're doing.
I see.
Now the Apollonian one, she got her own spirit. She's
Wow.
a firebrand, her hair red on here.
Oh.
So you know the red hair people how they can be.
Right.
She have her own issues, but I like talking with them to kind of get a feel for what's really going on.
see.
So even after the punishment, I will call and say, so what went on here now? What really going on?
Right.
Well, mommy, when I like
Just
that,
talk it through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing happy. I said, so why you talking?
Right.
Yeah, if you talking for I feel between now, there's nothing you can do. Someone something happy, say that, not you.
Right.
But I mean, what I And sad about it is that my political career is really engaging. It takes me away quite a lot, you know. So I miss the fact that sometimes I'm not there for the birthdays.
Right.
Sometimes I'm not there for the important days. I might have a meeting outside, then the graduation come here and I'm there. You know, those are the things that I miss as a mother.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the important things come and they pass me by.
Right.
And I try
and-
to make it up, but it's never the same.
Right. And I'm glad you brought that up. Like, what catapulted you to that position?
One small boy, I mean, I questioned 2 days ago in one school.
Oh, okay.
How you became vice president? And I just have to lean on my beginnings as a young child.
Right.
I remember in that one of my earliest memories, I must have been 3 or 4. And I was playing in my mother's room because she was a nurse. My father was an anesthesiologist. So they were doing something, checking medicines or something. I was on the floor playing. And I saw candy on her desk, on her bedside table. So I took it, I opened it, and started eating it.
Uh-oh.
So she heard it wrapping on the paper. She said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Mama, eating the candy." She said, "For you?" What do you mean? Is it for you? She said, "Is it for you?" I said, "Mama, is it for you?" She said, "Is it for you?" I said, "No." "Why you eat it?" I said, "But Mama, is it for you now? You know, 4 years old." I
Right.
said, "For you." She said, "So anything that belongs to me is for you?"
Uh-huh.
They are stuck. I can't answer that. She said, "No, this is how people learn to steal."
Steal.
I was shocked.
Right.
She said, because when you take something, even if it's for me and you don't ask, you go to somebody else's house, you do the same
Same
thing before
thing.
you know they be calling you and saying you can steal people things.
Right.
I mean, I think triggered my mind as a child. So those are some of the lessons. Don't take anything that doesn't belong to you.
Right.
Respect your elders. They asked me to do something. I must have been 9 or 10. And you know, you're not stupid to suck your teeth loud.
Oh, no.
So I just did it small. Hey,
You can put 5-finger mark on your face.
no.
Okay.
They went reported me to my mom. Oh, you know, they call me Nene because they used to, my father said I was like his mother. So they would call me Nene. So my cousin went reported me, "Mama, and you see Nene went suck her tea at me?" I said, "Mama, suck my tea at her." She said, "I'm not true, she will not allow you." Go to the garden. We have small, you know, those days the parents will have farms behind the house. Pepper, you know, small things, bitter ball. So if you want cook, you don't gotta be going to the market.
Right.
She said, "Go to that garden there and bring me 5 paws of pepper."
Whoa.
So they had a small cayenne pepper, 8 or 9 now. And then they had a fat pepper, but I want not hot.
Right.
I want a low oil in the garden. She said, "I'm waiting for you, hurry up."
They know what you're doing. Oh.
I saw the baby pepper, I saw the small one. So what do you think I took? I took
To the small one.
5, I carried to her. She said, "You sure that the pepper?" I said, "Yeah, in my mind. That one
Because
was
it's
too
small,
big,
yes.
It will be hard to eat. It one small, I can eat it.
Right.
She said, "Go wash it and bring it." It took me one whole day to eat that 5 paw of pepper.
Whoa.
For that small, that you even too good.
Right.
So I learned to be respectful. So the parents, they didn't kick back on those lessons to create people to be like the way we are today.
Right.
So all of those things have culminated. So by the time you went to kindergarten, you know you're not supposed to steal. You know you're not supposed to fight. You know you're not supposed to be disrespectful.
Right.
So all of those things you learn before you get to 5,
Right.
which is missing in our homes now because Papa working, Mama working.
Now working. Everybody gone.
Then you shove the children to daycare.
Yeah.
All the learning there is how to fight because the baby who makes the loudest noise will be the baby they will take care of.
Right.
When you quiet, you in a corner when your mom coming for you, before they will change your diaper.
That's right.
But
That's
we
exactly how
learned
it is.
growing up that those things were unacceptable social behavior.
Right.
So by the time I got to kindergarten, I knew, and those are leadership traits now, that you stand up,
You
you
start
believe
developing.
in what you want to believe in, and you work hard. All of us had chores, and my mother would rotate the chores. So one week you cleaning house, 1 week you washing clothes, 1 week you cooking because we're mostly girls.
Right.
1 week you helping in the clinic because my parents had this clinic. They used to call it the Cassava Patch Clinic.
Right.
So all of the poverty-stricken communities in the back that time, you come for medicine because they couldn't go to JFK.
Right.
So there were a whole part of people in and out. So they rotated us, all around. So by the time you go to school, you got some simple values.
Start developing
You start
values.
to develop them.
Right.
So growing up, whenever we had class projects, I would be in it.
Okay.
Trying to do my very best.
Right.
Even all the way up to law school. I went to law school in 2000 and I graduated 2011, and I was there for 3 years. So that's 7 years, 2007 or something.
Right.
And there was a lady there called Josh. Ruvinia Ash Thompson. Older lady, she's still alive, but I think she's retired. When you enter the law school the first day,
Right.
she will say, okay, I know you with that Congo twine.
Right.
You all introduce yourself. So everybody will get there accordingly. First thing she said to us, there were classes in the evening. You know, the law school mostly is in the evening. And she would do an 8 o'clock class because she wanted to go to the court. So the 7 o'clock, the class in the evening finished dead in the place.
Right.
Here and there, by that time people hungry. Banana peeling, all kind of things on the floor.
On the floor.
It will surprise you to note. After that first day, she saw all the dead. She said, you all introduce yourself. I'm sitting in the first row. I'm senator at the time, so I know I got to behave. Everybody introduced herself. She said, oh, okay. So you all that got the BB Nina here. I know that means you honor. You all will come and sit down in this dirty classroom. That your home's looking. That woman railed us, eh? Then she picked up her bed. She said, I'm not teaching. The classroom too dirty. Nobody had to tell me. We had her 3 days a week. I would go to school 7:15, clean the whole class.
Before she
Senator,
come. Just before she come.
pick up all the day, pack the chairs properly. My security, so Andrew Conan, the one who's my chief of security then was security to me. So he would tell you the story. Every day I would go sweep. The second day when she came, she said, oh, who swept the classroom here? I don't say nothing. She said, oh, that's Senator Taylor. She said, it better be her because she the mean one I said it for in the class.
Oh, wow.
But I learned many things growing up.
Right.
So it didn't faze me because I knew, since that was the standard she was setting, I went for that standard because I didn't want wahala. So all of the things that I know today, and they say, how did you become? I didn't plan to be.
Right.
But growing up, my parents were concerned about leadership traits.
Right.
That you would speak properly.
Right.
That even though they were poor, we live in a zinc house, like I always tell people. My father worked 2 jobs to send us to private schools.
Right.
He said, because you are girls, but I know the time will come in our country
Right.
that you will be required to know the same thing like the boys. So I expect that you go and do the best that you can.
That was a
so
very
with all
good-
that stress, I
Right.
knew what to do. So when the opportunities came my way, I didn't shirk. I just, stepped into it. But it wasn't.
So how
I
did that
never wanted
opportunity
to
come
be-
your way? Did they reach
Well,
out to
be
you
first
because
lady
of?
first now.
Okay. Okay.
So I became first lady,
Right.
and we were in a war situation at the time.
Right.
And so I couldn't have parties and all those fundraising things that the first lady does,
Right.
pet projects here and there.
Right,
The
right.
war was in crisis.
Right.
By the time I was my 3rd year as first lady, the whole country was in Monrovia.
That's
because
correct.
all across the counties, war was taking place. And so everybody
Correct.
ended up here.
Right.
So I sat down one day, I said, so what we'll do now? You can't call a meeting with NGOs, you can't call anything, you got to find something to do.
Right.
And then I said, okay, let me go visit one of the displaced camps.
Okay.
I came back, I was distraught. Of course, in the displaced camp, everybody's sleeping in one place now. People hardly got blanket, no water, no food, no nothing. So
Right.
I began my journey there. I would find friends in America, they would send me containers of blankets and all kinds of things. If people were really sick, I would send them, let my car carry them to JFK. So I did that political, not knowing it was political, I was just doing something to help.
Right.
And that's how I've always been, that whenever I get into a situation, I try to help.
Right.
Like I was helping the class, helping myself too, but I didn't want to cost me every day. So it helped the class, but then in the end, I knew that it would help me
Right.
sail through, because she was teaching this one class, the Ruvinia Ash Thompson, part 1 and part 2.
Right.
Some people have been stuck in law school for 10 years. By the time you fail the first time, she'll keep failing
keep
you
you-
until you get frustrated and leave.
Right.
So I knew that if you get into a situation, the first thing you do was what? Make a difference. So I knew that from a child. So I started to make a difference, visit the displaced camps. When it was time to divide rice, the first time I sent people, our first lady now,
Right.
y'all carry the right here, y'all
Right.
do the other one. All
Right.
the rest disappear.
Right.
When I went there the next week, the person said, oh man, you say you are sending your food? I said, no. I said 1,000 bags said to divide. The person said, no rice king here. Every camp I went to, they said no rice king.
Wow.
I said, so okay, that means I got to carry myself.
Right.
So I would get,
People
my car
start
would be
dividing
in
the
front,
rice.
stand up in the line. I used to divide rice to the pregnant women and the disabled people. So I would take that line because I always wanted to give them a little bit more.
Right.
6-7 hours until the rest was finished, from displaced camp to displaced camp. So that's how I learned human suffering. I saw it, from my face. Mind you, I became first lady at 33.
Right.
So I'm a young person. I'm seeing all of this coming from America, how everything's straight.
Straight.
Even if they got a typhoon or something, everybody go there. In 2-3 months, everything fixed. But
Right.
the thing was just long, people suffering,
Right.
no hair, no tail. But I think the fire in me that maybe my father saw started to take place. And I said, well, I can't sit home. I have to go and get involved in what was happening. So I did this for as long as we were here. We left here August 11, 2003.
Okay.
August 10, 2003, I was at the port trying to get our rice to divide in the displaced camp. So I did that until I was almost on the plane. I said, we leave the rice in the port. The rebels will soon take it over. We know who coming. The people will be hungry. So I stood for 5 o'clock in the morning as much as I could, sending it to the displaced camp and going behind them to check. So that was my last assignment. So everybody remember that. Because
I see.
remember, people from across the country were in the displaced camps.
I
Nobody
see.
asked you where you come from. All we know, you are in need.
Right.
So my name, that's how my name became
Got
a household
popular.
name.
Right.
Because of all of the work I did.
I see.
So when I came back home in 2004, 2005, the Bon Carnival said, come be our senator. I said, what? That thing my part told me.
To not do.
I want to do a senator. I want you to come and tell me. I said, oh, yes, I want to be politician.
Uh-huh.
But they kept
Insisting.
insisting. So I said, they think you're talking, Bon Carnival, a big country. You're sure you can make me senator? They said, yeah, we'll make you senator. I said, okay. I come and get a poor hat on. We started a campaign. I didn't go to Bon Carnival 5 times. Whole campaign, 6 month campaign. When they call me, I say, you'll leave me. I told you I want to be politician.
Right.
And you say you want me to be politician. You're going to talk to the people now.
Right.
I can't even speak the better good.
Right.
And that's why I want to tell them, you're going to do it. When they send for posters, the day I was send black and white. One woman said, yeah, the woman, yeah, she won the job for 2 but okay, all the job. So I, through that whole process, when I won, I was quite shocked. The first day I set up my desk, I sat down and they are called Benjamin. I said, Benjamin, the people elected me. So what are we doing now? He laughed, he almost fell in the floor. He said, so all the thing you did? I said, but I know the thing I'm part told me how to do political science, so I know what I'm doing.
Right.
So I've learned, but I mean those same traits that I believe you learn as a child, if you are trained properly, you can actually do quite a lot of things if you put your heart to it.
So your goodwill, charitable act, generosity got you into the heart of the people, and then you got elected, and then the leadership skills that you developed over the years, and the popularity, was that what
I think that combination of all of those things.
got you there? So what is it like being the Vice President of the Republic of Liberia?
And if you ask me of my many years of working in public and private sector work, and being senator twice, I got elected twice, and now being vice president, I would say that this is my most challenging.
Why so?
Because being second is always tough. You're not the lead.
Okay.
The president leads.
Okay.
You have to follow.
Okay.
And being a woman, I have my own ideas.
Right.
As senator, I led because I was senior senator of the county.
Right.
So we go to a meeting, I say, all the things you're talking, we're going to do, this is me.
Uh-huh.
I'll convince people why
Right.
it was important.
Right.
So coming from what, 9, 10, 11, about 15 years of being a senator,
Right.
I'm used to leading, not following.
Right.
And so you get into a position that you must now follow someone else's vision, someone else's dream, someone else's way.
Right.
And I think it took me a while to settle in the fact that, hey, this is George Weah's dream, this is George Weah's leadership, this is George Weah's legacy.
Are there
So I
still
think
room
that-
though for suggestions?
And you know, the Constitution says
Uh-huh.
that the Vice President shall assist the President in the discharge of his duties.
Okay.
So it's still about the President's duties.
Okay.
So I'm aligned, the office is aligned to the President's duties.
Okay.
So it's not about what I think.
So as long as you help him achieve his,
That
you've
is what
done
my
your role.
function is, yes.
Okay. What are some things that you love doing in Liberia?
I think the thing that carries my heart and my passion is working with women and young girls.
Okay.
I learned over the period, especially as First Lady, I saw firsthand the difficulties of women and children.
Right.
Coming from a traditional setting, I would see family meetings. Only the men would speak. Nobody
Right.
would ask any woman in those days, what you got to say?
Right.
Not your issue.
Right.
You know, you would be allowed to sit, and I was privileged to sit in some of the meetings when I was young. As a child, my mother used to say, children should be seen and not heard.
Right.
So all of that would make me quiet because you know you're not supposed to be talking.
Talking.
Then you not voice or something, you way
Right.
far, no
Yes.
talking for you. So I learned then that the women really didn't have a say.
Right.
And then becoming First Lady, I saw the difficulties that women face. One good thing that happened during that period was I advocated, after I came from some meetings with UN people, setting up of the Ministry of Gender. So that's a highlight in my life. Because at that point, people were talking about the gender issue. What do we do about it?
Right.
And this is something that's always hold my spirit. How do we help girls to become who they want to be? So even now, over the years, I have an NGO that I run, the Jewel Starfish Foundation. It's 22 years old. So I've done this for 22 years.
Is it a style foundation or
Starfish Foundation. And you know the starfish is a small little light animal in the ocean
Right.
that can get thrown on the beach because it's so light.
Right.
And if the water doesn't bring it back, it just dries out and dies.
Right.
And there's a story I read when I was in America of a writer who had lost his memory. He couldn't write. So the doctor recommended him to please go and sit on the beach and relax himself, that he was too strung out. And if he relaxed, maybe his writing skills would come back. So he took a cabin somewhere far off in California. But every morning he would walk along the beach. You would see this little boy of about 5 or 7 walking along the beach and picking up starfish and putting them back in the sea. So after the third day, he said, "My dear, what are you doing?" He says, "Well, I'm throwing starfishes back into the sea." He said, "Well, why? There are thousands of them that wash on the shore every day. What is it that you're doing with the few that you can send? Let's go and do this 1 hour every day, throwing as many as you can, and you go and go to school." So he said, "Well, to you it doesn't make a difference, but to the one starfish that is able to get back into the water, they live." And he picked up another starfish and he threw it in the sea. It was at that point, this guy, his memory came back and he began to write about his life and his experiences. And when I read that story, it reminds me of a little girl who really is just floating in the water because you are female, you're a child, you are dependent on people around you, family, friends, to help you grow. But you're not strong enough, you don't have your own foundation. And you can actually be washed along the shore and you can just die here. Sexual abuse, all kinds of things that happen to young girls. And not just sexual, there's mental abuse and the things people have to do just to survive. That's laying out on the beach. And so for me, when I founded this NGO, that's the story that sticks with me. At my work, I may not be able to help the thousands of little girls across my area, but for each one I help, I have an entire generation to come back to life. So I do children from 7th grade to the university. Because from kindergarten to 6th grade, girls are, they are babies, everybody loves them. By the time you get to 7th grade, you start getting breast, people start playing with you. That's where the abuse occurs. So by the time you get to 12th grade, all of the girls are graduating from 6th grade in their numbers. Not even 10% reach 12th grade. So my work is to provide scholarships, mentoring, and empowerment for them so that they are able to begin a life. And I believe that each one I throw back into the sea. So it's called the Jewel Starfish Foundation.
That's powerful. I want to talk about something else I saw around the building, but before that, I think you've mentioned a lot about abuse and female. I think it's fair with me being a father of 2 girls. Wrote a song also about rape and stuff. If you had the power or that one magic wand, what would you do in Liberia to prevent or stop, what we see regularly, what we hear from Liberia regularly concerning rape, violence against female?
And it's a two-edged sword,
Right.
really. The first side of that sword is the family setting
Right,
and how people are treated.
right,
I'm privileged that I grew up in a home without that kind of abuse.
right,
My father was present, maybe because he and my mother were in the same profession.
right,
So they worked together, they had shifts. If someone was at the hospital, the other one was home. So they kind of scheduled themselves that we're not left alone. So there was always some kind of parental care for us.
okay,
I remember on Sundays, my father would not work. They would take us to church and then take us to lunch somewhere in Monrovia. They had this Diana restaurant at the time. My father would take us to lunch there. Just to keep, he said he wanted to do the things for us that we would have wanted, so we won't go look for a man to do it for us.
exactly,
So I always think that he was one of the best fathers that a child could have.
right,
So that family setting now is missing.
okay,
Most of the homes are single family homes.
right,
There are some fathers that are raising their daughters,
Right.
but predominantly it's women that are raising
Raising.
their children, and the fathers are absent. Even if you're in Liberia, You got 5 homes with 5 women with children all over the place. 1 hour here, 30 minutes there. Nobody's spending time. And so the children are not protected as they should. And I was on the radio a few days ago, and I said something. I know some people are not happy. But I said the issue of rape, before you get to the government, it has already taken place in a family setting.
Right.
So families have to now be held accountable.
Right.
Because a mother should be able to protect her daughter,
Right.
especially where, they are 3 years old, 4-year-old, 5-year-old children that are being raped. That's the normal range of between 2 months and 7, 8 years old.
That's sad.
You will hardly find girls in their 20s being raped. So what's going on? What's happening at the family level?
Right.
So I think at that level, we need to now start to look. You will get okay, your husband leaves you with your children, and you have a boyfriend. And first thing you will say, oh, the Uncle John. That's the first deception. This is not your uncle. He's not your father.
Right.
In fact, he's not a relative of yours.
Right. Right.
If
Call
we
them
were
for
to
who they
tell our
are.
children that,
Right.
then maybe they'll be a little bit more afraid.
Right.
But you come and say, oh, that Uncle John. I'm my friend, he need Uncle John. Uncle John is a relative.
Right.
So you make children a little bit more comfortable.
That's
Or that my
correct.
uncle man, or that my brother, or that my something.
Right.
So they are not afraid.
Right.
Whereas if they know that this person is a stranger, then maybe
instead
they
of family.
say something happened, they will talk it.
Right.
But Uncle John, you sit on Uncle John lap, all the things children do for people, and you don't pay attention to it.
Right.
So the home setting has the first issue.
Right.
And that's where the abuse is taking place. And I said, I think we need to find a way to begin to deal with the issues at the home level.
So teach it.
People are watching. If you are raping a 2-year-old baby, or somebody will hear because that child will be howling.
Right.
Just small thing, when the child is uncomfortable because you got feces in their diaper, they will cry.
Right.
Until somebody changes. So what more about that kind of
Right.
extreme pain?
Right.
Where are the community members?
Right.
And it doesn't happen in a day.
Right.
You see some man, even though he's a member of your community, doing something funny.
Right.
You're doing somebody's child, not your child.
Right.
So many things happening that people are not paying attention to, that the elder generation, when we were growing up, people paid attention to. So we're not abused. So that whole aspect has to be looked at. What is happening at that level?
So there should be communication,
Yes.
education
And then women have
within
to
the
take
family level.
responsibility for their children.
Okay.
You will take your 3-year-old child, oh, go carry water to the next door neighbor. Is that your brother or your uncle?
Right.
Oh, that person want you to buy a cigarette. Or go buy the old beer and carry it.
Right.
The people who raping each children are 13, 40-year-old. They're not small boys.
Right.
I haven't seen a case where maybe a teenager will rape a child.
Right.
These are adults, 30, 40, 50 years old, and know better. So you say, carry the man beer, carry the woman cigarette. So we are putting our children at too much risk.
Right.
So I think the family setting, the mothers need to be held responsible for some of what's happening.
So with that, if the community reports and the authority finds out and the immediate family don't do anything about it, are you also saying you'll be good or okay with persecuting them for not
Believe
saying?
in the States
Uh-huh.
where you grow up, where you live,
Right.
any kind of abuse, the families, the parents are arrested
Right.
in America.
Right.
To find out what happened first. Either you are leaving these children by themselves and you're doing your own thing.
Right.
Something happening there. So they will find out from your voice before somebody can rape your child. Where were you?
Right.
So, that's what I think we should start doing so that people have more responsibility. Because before the police come inside there, you call it state thing. Then people say, oh, the police not doing their job. Is it the police's job to monitor what happened in your house? No.
It's difficult.
When it comes to the state now, it's a long, drawn-out process. You have to have a semen. They have to be tested. All kind of things happen before you even get to court. In the court, first case in, first case out. So if a rape took place today and they have 1,000 cases on the docket, that case will be 1,001. Those cases have to be adjudicated first. Then they will say, oh, the people are not serious. But that's the way the law is. You can't leave a case that came in first and put it aside because the law has to be blind. It must be equal. But then people say, oh, I say we carry the case. The people not doing nothing about it. You number 1,001.
Right.
So maybe it'll take 5 years before they even get to you. By that time, the child finished growing up, or maybe the child dead, and the evidence is no longer there. People have run away. So I think we have to just start working at that level.
Yeah.
And the laws, I was a part of doing the rape law, because I was in the Senate working on the Judiciary Committee, and we said we should put non-bailable as a deterrent. So by the time they say they may rape the child, you'll be in jail now, they will find out whether are you or not.
Right.
As a way of deterring people, but it's not helping.
Right.
So the law, the government is one angle. But at that point, late, an injury has already occurred, can we begin to look at it, from the family setting? What's happening there?
Right.
How can we enforce some of the family values and some of the things that are happening so it stops? Because I think that's where it should stop, and not when it goes to court. When it goes to court, then you just got to ride
through
with
the process.
with the storm. Yeah.
Okay. What are some games you played growing up?
And there were two things I loved. We didn't have TV. We had a TV, but my father would put it on 1 hour a night. So TV was not something you look forward to.
Right.
Because I only women caprices now.
Right.
And you get up, you want to see something on TV, you put the TV on your watch, or even you cut it off.
You call it off.
Because he said that we should do other things.
Right.
So I love reading. It's my first love.
Reading.
Even today. Anytime I get small time, I would take John Grisham. I like books that deal with laws and rights, or laws that, of course, all the little girls grow up reading love stories. So I like reading first and foremost. If you were to ask me if I had time, what would be the first thing I would choose? I would pick up a book. Second thing, of course, books are tied to movies now.
Right.
So I mean, it's the same,
Right.
same thing. If you were to ask me, and mind you, now my father was very strict, and so we didn't learn how to play cards. He said those were gambling games.
Grown-up people game.
Yeah, so we never learned any of those kind of games.
Okay.
So we're either reading or everybody we used to go to school before we play NAFO and all that thing, because when you on recess, the girls will learn that jumping rope.
So you grew up
It's not part
NAFO?
of- I mean, it's been a long time. I don't even know if I remember the rules of the game.
You don't know how to play NAFO anymore?
I don't know. I haven't done it in many years. Man, you are almost 60. Oh.
But you don't look it though.
Yeah, I'm almost 60.
don't
So
look-
somebody has to come. If my granddaughter, she hears this thing, she'll be laughing at me. Mommy, you know how to do? I said, no. Let me tell you one short story.
Right.
Brenda Fassie came to Liberia one year. She was the South African artist that sang Black President. So she came one year for President Taylor's birthday. And so she went to visit my office. So she said, my first lady, what are you doing here? Everything here are books. When you look around me, anywhere, that's all you see. She said, you know how to play marble? I said, marble? I know how to play marble. She said, aren't you? You can't tell me you know how to play marble. She went. She said, you're going to bring me marble. They go the marble. She got on the floor in my office. She said, let me show you. That I learned to play marble. I'm about 24.
Right in your office.
I had never played it before.
Wow.
She said, but how? You will not know how to play marble. I said, the fact of the matter is, my father didn't have time for all that thing.
Right.
He said that idle people, the idle man is a devil's workshop. So all those things there, he said, oh, you got what to do? We come in find something for you to do. So we really didn't learn how to play a lot of the games. Of course, you're talking about cards, or forgetting my party, even want to see you play.
Yeah.
So I know how to do any of that.
All
I
right.
learned how to play checkers after I went to America.
Are you open for Mancredits to teach you how to play NAFO?
Yeah, I'm open.
Mancredits will
Yeah.
teach you how to play NAFO. Let Mancredits teach you how to play NAFO. We'll be right back. Hey, Joey. Hey, Mancredit. You looking cool. Oh, please don't put your mom on my Brazilian hair, please. Oh, there you get like the new fashion here, the new one. You need to upgrade. Yeah, you need to get something that they tell the designer staff was designing you to upgrade your level, because you gotta look. Just say Brazilian hair. This is the Brazilian. But let your lapa out. It's okay. We're going outside there. They say you can play NAFO. The one who can be singing one 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 ya, two two lele. Oh yeah, one 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 ya, two two lele. And then you be.
I don't want to see the song.
So you now want to play? You
But I
scared?
play first. Let me see how you're looking.
So you want to learn from the girl?
Yeah.
You can play NAFO? Alright. How the song? You know the song? But okay, let's do the clapping. I think I'm beating you.
I think so too.
She feels so like how they can play.
You know how to play NAFO? Come.
You know how to play NAFO? Lalo Gana know how to play NAFO. She only know how to kick in NAFO. But you try, you get. At least you're not scared you come to the Osa. Let me take him out. Let them slap us. And then you go back inside and go finish your interview.
They NAFO here.
You know, remember it? The other children, they don't know how to do it.
They were young, they didn't
Yeah, they, like when they fair bowl, they know how to do. They just be flowing onto the fair bowl, be watching drama, and all they can do.
TikTok.
TikTok. Mm-hmm. And Instagram.
Oh, Instagram.
No, Instagram.
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 I want to know it.
Yes. Man post now.
But we post here. But
Yeah.
the Brazilian hair, I will try it.
You got to post because they started to get some hot Ghana on the internet. Yeah.
You look here.
Yeah, I need to hook you up. You not go to Tato Miami before?
Yeah,
One time? You see me? You see me?
I play get 12 hours.
Oh, you get the guy gave me iron.
Talk away all the fat.
Oh yes, he gave me iron. He said the thing is good for the next six years.
After 6 years, what you do then?
I have to go by and get another one. If I don't do it, then everything will be laying down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I gotta
I
go.
got problem.
Hey, that's how they can do it. They just continue eating your money. You know how much for one of the things?
Wow, I don't even imagine. Just for 6 years.
I'm telling you, they want right here with $1 million.
What?
The other one, you see how it's small there? Because I'm not having another $1 million to do the one, so I pay $500,000. So,
So the leg smaller than the other one?
yeah, so he credit me. He credit me and just pay the other one. Next time when I raise enough money, then I can get it. Anyway, you VP, you hook me up.
Yeah, I won't be up.
All right, thank you. That'll go by himself. Well, welcome back, Madam VP. How was it playing for with Man Curtis?
It was hard because I forgot all the rules of the game now. I know really how to do it.
She's so cute.
So I think she soaked me real good.
So, entertainment. Who are some of your favorite artists?
Native.
Which one a Native song?
He has a popular one, man, where he and the girl went out and the girl
Oh my.
dissed him.
Okay,
And later on, he went, then he said, when I rape, it has a little rape tune in it.
Uh-huh.
You know, I will not force her because they will say I raped. They will, I know the name, but I mean, one of my favorite songs that he sings.
You can sing
Teddy
along from that
Ride.
song?
If it's on the TV, I can follow. But I like Stunner.
Okay.
He sings love melodies.
Right.
You know, growing up, I loved all of the Black American, Teddy Pendergrass. You know, that's the kind of songs I like. And I think Stunner sings that kind of
Style.
ballads and love songs.
Right.
So,
right. So if you were to travel for relaxation, where are you going and why?
Now that's a tricky question. Because
You gotta relax now. You can't just be VP all the time. You go and just
I do.
forget.
I do. And some of the places I've been, of course, you know, Dubai is an extraordinary city. You know, the things you find in Dubai, you won't find it anywhere else.
That's right.
So every time I go to Dubai, it's a new experience because there's nowhere you can see everything at one visit.
Right.
But the place I love, that if you add me today, Oma, you got a trip somewhere, where you want to go, I will tell you Israel.
Israel. Why?
Again, I have a strong Christianity,
Okay.
and it plays into a lot of the things that I do.
Right.
You know, so you yet will say, oh, more hard, you know, she had to deal with.
Right.
Because I have these Christian values that make up who I am.
Right.
And Israel makes the Bible come alive.
Right.
You know, you go and see where David slain Goliath, go to the mountains,
Right.
go to where Christ prayed in Gethsemane, the
Right.
Garden of Gethsemane.
Right.
You go and see where, you know, they put him on the cross
Right.
and slain him.
Right.
You go and see where his mother received the angel that told her, Hail Mary, you are now a child.
Right.
So, I mean, it makes the Bible that we've read all of our lives
Come
just
alive.
come alive.
Right.
And it gives my faith a stronger sense of belonging. So it's not just a book. But of course, my whole life is not as serious as people may seem. I like fun things.
Such as.
So I've taken my grandchildren to Dubai.
Okay.
You know, they got all kind of different things to see.
Amusement park and stuff.
I like Ghana.
Okay.
Ghana has a lot of family settings. They have all kinds of. There's a place called Safari Park. They have horses. They have. You can go on the river. You can get in those jet skis. And the place I went the other day that was amazing was Belize. My first time in the Caribbean. So they have aqua green waters. I couldn't get oil.
You can swim there?
No.
So you just put your
I
foot in the
can just
water?
play, yeah.
You
But
just be
the
doing
water
that.
green.
Okay.
I'm like, what? So I mean, that was an amazing place. You know, I went, we saw all kinds of amazing things because it's a whole different area of the world. So there, when the things are different.
Right.
You know, so there are still so many amazing places. When we went to Belize, you know, the country is next to Mexico, and the whole Mexican thing comes from the Mayan, the old Mayan culture. So those Mayan temples that were built,
Right.
I may say 5,000 years ago, still standing. So I had a chance to just when you go and stand beside one of those things, you are humbled, you know, as a human being. I hope one day I'll go to Israel and see the pyramids.
Right.
Because it humbles you to just know that you just one
Just
grain of
small
sand
thing.
in a whole
Oh,
scheme of things.
that's
So why
right.
you making yourself look like you want some kind of giant? So I mean, I
More-
still like those kinds of trips because it just clicks in my psychic that you are just a part of God's creation and you're not the creation.
All right. I want to know, what is your favorite Liberian dish, and do you prefer cooking it yourself? And if yes, walk me through the process of cooking it.
Okay, and the fact of the matter is I haven't gone to the kitchen in many years. So I get a chance once in a while just to wow my grandchildren. Because one time she asked me, you can cook, sir? I said, also, you think I can cook? Wait for me right here, we're coming to do it. But I think my favorite Liberian dish is palawa sauce
Palava sauce. With fufu or rice?
with rice.
Or rice.
So the palawa sauce is a little bit complicated if you don't cook it right.
Right.
Then it doesn't have that taste.
Right.
But you have to, and the market I used to go to when I was small, right at the Oro market, stay for that same place. I came my granddaughter there the other day. So like when we go straight the market, she was shocked. I myself were in the market. I said, so buy the thing now, you sort of buy it like this. Because she got to be exposed to.
Right.
So the palawa sauce, the first time I cooked it, it was sauté.
Oh,
So
wow.
my father said to me, now your food for the whole week. My one ate that whole food.
Oh,
Yeah. All the other food they can't eat it. So you will know how to cook sauté food.
at
He
least
said,
you
"I
get to
working
enjoy
hard."
all the meat then, though.
Yeah, but it was sauté. So
You wash
instead of
it?
cook, you kind of put all your meat and things together. And it's good when you put dry fish, dry meat. They got some kind of crawfish in the market, the baby crawfish. But it has a taste that when you put it in the palawa sauce, it steps it up a little bit. And they have some spice is round called alligator pepper.
Yeah.
You can put in the palawa sauce, it really sets it up. So first thing you do, you get all of your meat, your chicken, and you season it.
Okay.
Your pepper, your onions, everything, and you make sure the meat is done. Once the meat is done, then there's a little bit of water in the pot. Because if you leave the water there too plenty, it will make the palawa sauce some kind of way.
It
So
tend
the
to
water has
pepper
to be
soup.
small.
Uh-huh.
But it has to be enough to cook the palawa sauce
Right.
without making it watery.
Right.
So you have to make sure you get that balance. And it took a couple of times before I knew what the balance also be.
Right.
Yeah, so I didn't get it right the first time. So when you put the palawa sauce on top of the other thing you got in the pot, season everything, you leave it there. So the palawa sauce isn't in the water. The water is in the bottom.
Right.
Once it dries, then you begin to stir it, the palawa sauce. And then you add, after everything is done, before you add the oil. If you don't put if you put the oil there before the water is dry, you get palawa sauce with water. You not see some people cook it, you see the water inside it,
Yeah.
make it taste some kind of way.
Yes.
So the water has to dry, and the seasoning from in that water, that is seasoning that in the meat, and everything has to be in the palawa sauce. So when you finish, you put it there.
I'm getting
then you
hungry
put
now,
it-
sir. Go ahead.
You put the palm oil there,
Uh-huh.
and then it's ready to be dished out. But it has to be done properly, because if not, it can either be too watery, then people will turn against it. Either fresh okra. If you're doing fried okra, if you don't do it properly, people can actually turn against it.
Right.
But I like palawa sauce more
So-
than any other food.
so
Next
after-
to toboggi.
Next to toboggi.
That one are the
Nice.
normal in me now.
There you go.
But the palawa sauce first, then the toboggi.
Then the toboggi. So the toboggi, the plow, so you eating with hands, spoon, or fork? How?
Well, the palawa sauce I usually eat it with spoon. But the
Okay.
toboggi, what we used to do,
Uh-huh.
even when I was a senator, I used to do every now and then. You know, sometimes I would get a little frustrated. So when I get home, I would tell my sister, I have a sister called Catherine. I would tell her, Catherine, go to the house, let them put the food in the pan. And you know, the old-fashioned way. So they'll put it in the pan, put it toboggi on top of it. I will sit down on the septic tank to eat it.
Thanks for
The first
sharing
time I
that.
did it, my sister was like, you serious? I said, Jack, go to that thing. I come in. So I didn't sit down first. So I went home that day, I washed my hand, put on my short trousers, my t-shirt. I said, let's go eat the food now. She said, oh man, leave me. I said, I'm serious thing I'm talking, let's go to the thing. So I went to the tell me all it. We were talking and laughing. Oh, got you, my mom was settled. I just went to sleep now. Next day I started a new page.
So you not ride keke before?
No.
Never ride keke before?
Never.
You try it?
I bought a keke the other day
You bought a keke?
for a girl.
Oh, okay, for a
She
girl.
was one of the girls in a ghettos.
Uh-huh.
But what drew me to her was that she could cut hair. So she said she would go around cutting her hair. And she got to be on motor boy up and down. So I went somewhere, she told the story, I forgot about her. So when I got money, I think it was this year, I bought the keke, I called the Capital Building. But she came, I said, oh, they keke for you. So I sat her inside for the first time.
Okay.
And then she got on the other side. I said, so let's take the picture now, me and you as in kids were driving.
Uh-huh.
But the security people, they got problem now, so they would not let me get into one. So that
Wow.
was my first time even sitting in one. So I was a little happy that I got a chance to at least sit
in
one.
it. They should allow you to maybe just get your own personal keke.
Yeah, we drive around the
around the
community.
there you go.
They're full of it. They're full of it.
That's
They
good.
want you from one locker box to another locker box. Which
Yeah.
is,
It's all to protect our VP. It's all to
yeah,
protect
but,
our
you know,
VP.
sometimes it's not that bad.
Right.
You know, especially in your community, if you're going walk around. Sometimes I go to Divine Rice.
Right.
Okay,
You just get your keke.
around.
So
okay,
you
well,
ride it yourself or you get somebody to ride for you?
But the thing is that I can drive. You know, I live in America for almost 12 years. So I
But
can
driving
drive.
in America and driving here, I'm not seeing driving here.
But I was driving here to our first lady.
Okay,
And then
okay.
first president work, I mean, it's training, yeah, I can't gene or home, but I mean, it's a good relaxational thing. And I think driving, Ellen Salif, when she, you know, ended her tenure, and she left the stadium, she went, got in her car, drove herself home.
Wow.
She said she had been
I think
waiting.
I heard that. Yeah.
Said she had been waiting.
Waiting to drive
she said,
herself.
Can you imagine 12 years I can't drive?
Drive. We certainly do appreciate you giving us this opportunity. I've learned a lot. I hope you guys did as well. Any final words to our viewing audience?
And I want to thank you for going beyond the ordinary, because especially for those of us that are in the political field, like you say, people checking you, seeing what you, they always know when something goes wrong.
Right.
Yeah, nobody, when you do something good, nobody will say, oh, the woman did something good, no.
Right.
When something goes wrong, and then you'll be on the radio for 1 month.
Right.
But we are humans beyond that.
Right.
We have our feelings.
Right.
And like I said, one of the things I regret most as a politician is the fact that I don't get to spend enough time with my children, my grandchildren.
Right.
And I don't get enough time to spend with my siblings, the few of us who are alive, because we're starting to die. Like I said, within the last 3 years, 2 siblings have died. So who
sorry to
knows?
hear that.
I'm almost 60 now.
Right.
So my older sister almost 70. Before you look, we're talking about going down a trajectory. We don't spend enough time together to just have fun
Right.
and forget the political thing.
Right.
So I think this program actually gives people a chance to look beyond the political facade,
Right.
and just see that, you know, she's just a regular human being. And I like that part,
Right.
that I'm just Jewel.
That's right.
I'm grateful that God has kept me, not because I'm perfect,
Right.
just that because God has kept me. And I try to stay away from certain things. My father was very careful about eating all over the place. So as old as I am, I go and eat my food.
That's right.
I don't hang out, you know, to get me out of my house to go anywhere.
Right.
Hey, so my friends tell you, they say they're pulling teeth. When I get home, I eat my food, I sit down from my TV. You're not getting me fun. Oh, you promised to go. I said, I'm not going. So I'm not someone that goes out a lot. Very rarely. If I'm out, that means I'm doing something.
Right.
Hanging with girls, going to see what the school loaner will pay tuition for. You know,
Right.
I'm involved in all of these women activities, mentoring women.
Right.
I'm not only fun. But when it comes to going to the club and doing all kind of things, I don't do it because
Mama
it
say, I
has
can't
not
go to
been my
club.
part of life. Because now you're style.
Yeah.
But some people, when you go to the nightclub, then that means that
You're not having fun, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think there's a lot that we can do. We can still have a lot of fun without, and then I don't want to be overexposed. You know,
Right.
that one word my friend used on me the other day, I heard it, but I didn't think about it like that. PEP, politically exposed persons.
Politically
Yeah.
exposed
So
person.
he said, you want inviting to come to my shop. I said, why? He said, because you PEP. I said, why you not PEP? He said, you are a politically exposed person. Anywhere you go, you draw attention there. So just stay to that your heart. Don't come to me.
Don't come to my house.
I was like, wow. So
Right.
I mean, this is me shows the other side of who we are.
Right.
And then people can relate.
Right.
Because some of the issues I'm facing, other mothers facing it too.
Right.
I'm not extraordinary.
Right.
I don't have it all.
Right.
But I come out every day, I face my face, you know, make my face shine, and I go out and do the best that I can.
Right.
Because it's an opportunity that God has given me. I pray that at the end He will say, well done. That you've done the best with the responsibilities you were given.
Great, great. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. I've learned a lot about our VP, and I appreciate the opportunity letting us into your life, sharing your life story with us. And I hope that some little girl sitting somewhere can watch this and be inspired to work as hard or probably twice as hard to get to where she is right now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. I'm D. Curtis. Thank you.
This is me. This is me. Yeah. No one else can tell my story. No one else but me. Oh, yeah. This is me. This is me. Yeah. Get to know who I am from me. 'Cause this is me. Do you wanna know? Are you really sure? I'm beautiful.
Who would you love to see on This Is Me?
And you may not get somebody like that, but if you were able to get Madame Salif, she has a story to tell. You know, how she's managed her life, you know, becoming the highest and now being just a regular person and doing what she's doing. She's still implementing women's agendas. So she's still a person that's sought after all over the world. So I think someone like Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, even someone like the president we are, I don't know, you know, whether he would do it, but I think people at this level, and if you can just, if his own, I think he will enjoy. He still goes to the party headquarters and play checkers.
Right.
And, you know, so he knows how to relax and don't let his pressure go beyond what he's able to do.
Right.
So those kinds of people are important as icons for our younger generation.
Right.
For example, they got some women on the Supreme Court bench.
Right.
When they're walking in our hall, everybody at attention.
What are some of their names?
James Etta, Wolokoli, CNN. There are two women on the Supreme Court bench. CNN Snow. So the kind of power in the judiciary.
Right.
I like the fact that when you see them somewhere, they're not acting like justices.
Right.
Even though you have to still give them some level of respect. But they try to tune it down so people can sit with them. I do that too because I think the job shouldn't ostracize you from hanging out with your friends
Right.
and doing some of the things that you should be doing.
Right.
So when people come to my house, we do, you know, check it down a little bit, you know, listen to music, talk about old times. So it's good to see that people are beyond just the title
Right.
and that they are just human.
Right.
And I think that's what your story is, talking
Yeah.
about the humanity that is in each of us.
Right. That's exactly what it is.
This is me. This is me.